Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here at my next Naruto Shippuden episode review. This one's going to be for episode 484, which is called Sasuke's Story Sunrise Part 1, The Exploding Human. So this is the first episode adapting the Sasuke novels, which aren't yet out in English, but obviously they've been out in Japan for a while. But we should be getting these novels, I think, sometime next year, early-ish. Yeah, link to watch the episode if you haven't seen it yet is in the description. But let's get into the review. Overall, I really liked this episode. It was so fun to get to see, obviously, our main characters in their older designs. I believe this story is set after the last movie, I think. I believe that ends up being the way it works out, but I'm not entirely sure about that. It might be like just before it, but because Naruto and Hinata seemed like they were more or less a couple, it makes me believe it was set afterwards, because obviously the movie kind of has a different design kind of aesthetic for some of the characters, and so like Sasuke's design doesn't really seem like his last design, but he may just have been in a different location at that time. I'm not fully sure, but either way, it's set roughly around that time, and it was just so fun to see, see Sakura, Naruto, and basically kind of just see them as like the main characters within the village. That there was no like other Jonin coming in to like do stuff ahead of them. There was a security team there before. They came in, they kind of controlled the situation after that, because they're all basically Jonin at this point in time, so they are actually like the most powerful characters in the village, so it makes sense for them to deal with these issues. And the actual mystery of this episode around setting it up at the start, this idea of a new kind of visual jutsu, and at the end confirming that it is in fact a new Kekkei Genkai related to eye powers, basically related to Genjutsu, that seems to be on the level of Byakugan, on the level of Sharingan. So I'm really excited to see how they go about explaining this technique and what exactly it is. Because as of right now, as far as we know, this is a technique that can basically mind control people. It kind of causes them to feel no pain. Then when you do hurt them, they injure themselves even more, and then explode, basically causing even more damage. But outside of that, we don't know the super specifics if that is like all done by just the Genjutsu power, or if it's like the Genjutsu power controlling them, and then they've done something else to the people to cause them to explode. But still, it made for a like really kind of dark, violent episode. Like it happens at times in the show where like they have kind of some really violent stuff happening. I remember I think it was some of the filler episodes, but also some of the canon episodes where they were dealing with the revived Seven Swordsmen of the Mist, and some of the way they were like killing some of the shinobi during the war were pretty intense. When they brought back some of the revived Kekkei Genkai users, again there was some pretty brutal stuff, like burning people like through the stomach. I think there was one person who like completely dried someone up just with kind of like heat powers, and there was some brutal stuff there. That I think Madara, when he first entered the war, like just took out a bunch of people with crazy attacks. But there was something really violent about this. Just the fact that you saw the shuriken hit someone and a little bit of blood. They ripped their stomach out, their like chest open basically with a shuriken, then exploded. And then especially later on, that village, the bamboo village, I suppose leader. His daughter being possessed and then like basically stabbing herself in the neck. They cut away so we didn't like see everything, but like just the fact that they did something that violent. Then she explodes after I think Chino and Nawaki are the kind of two former shinobi members of a traveling circus or whatever entertainment group. After they expressed like that this character, the character's daughter, was pretty nice to them, and just seeing her die like that was really brutal. So it added a lot to the episode, and I liked how the episode was kind of half split between like Naruto, Sakura, some of the other characters, and then we switched over to Sasuke. That he's kind of been distracted now that the threat seems to be focused around this area, and is maybe not going to make his way back to the village. Maybe there'll be appearance at the village later on. I haven't read the book, so I don't actually know what happens in this story. So the anime is going to be how I first experienced the story. But that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. In that, the moment when Kakashi says, the only way we're going to deal with this, clearly some sort of genjutsu, visual jutsu, is we need someone who also has a very powerful one. And so Sakura immediately was like, there's only one person it can be. Sasuke's going to come back to the village, and Naruto figures it out, but she's still really embarrassed about it. So that relationship hasn't kind of fully happened yet. It's really kind of fun to just see the potential for that relationship to actually happen, and that they're going to be like really friendly with each other once they do meet again, and how exactly they approach doing that. Like, I would like them to at some point animate the Sakura novel, because there is like at least a scene at the end, I think, where they meet, but you get a lot of her thoughts on Sasuke in that novel. That was fun. And then you also very clearly had Naruto and Hinata, maybe not, I don't know if they're specifically a couple at this point in time, but they were very clearly suggesting that they're much more open with their feelings for each other. Whether or not they've come together fully as a couple at this point, again, I'm not fully sure. It felt like they were a couple, so that's what made me feel like it was after the last movie. In that the premise of the last movie is that like Hinata is too kind of embarrassed, shy about fully telling her feelings to Naruto, and then Naruto is kind of still relatively oblivious to how strongly he feels for Hinata until the events of that movie. Here it kind of felt like it was there and thereabouts, but it's hard to tell just because they didn't fully commit to like the whole idea of like let's fight together as like showing that they're in a relationship. But it was still a fun scene to have regardless. The only criticism I think I had of the episode is just that they had that moment of like Hinata suddenly becoming weak after hitting one guy and then falling into Naruto's arms. I'm just like, okay, like Hinata is not the like super strongest character of everyone in the group, but they didn't really give any explanation for why she's suddenly like drained of energy after that. Like, I get Choji, like, without using the kind of food pills or anything like that, he's able to now activate his kind of butterfly wings in giant form just by eating a lot of food beforehand, and that drains him a lot. But I don't feel like anything Hinata did like incredibly like drained her energy to the point where she'd be weak. Potentially they were doing some sort of thing where like she was maybe overusing her Byakugan, but she didn't have it active that long. They kind of established that she had a pretty good stamina with her Byakugan during the war, almost better than Neji to some degree. And also, I suppose the only explanation I would have is just that because part of the plan was that she would kind of seal off the exploding people's chakra networks to stop them from exploding, that maybe there's some sort of a kind of energy sapping element to it where she would cut off their energy, but because it's this kind of evil chakra, it sort of drains her energy, and because she did it on a bunch of these people, it happened. And then I think part of it is just that they only showed her attacking one person because the plan was executed like super quickly, but it was actually done on like 4 or 5 people, and that maybe Hinata having to deliver the final blow and basically perfectly block like 5 people in a row's chakra networks who are empowered by a chakra that she's unaware of would potentially drain her. So I think part of it was just like little kind of poor execution of that scene. Part of it was perhaps not showcasing Hinata in the best way, but it's going to be back and forth on whether or not like you really are critical of that. But yeah, like other things, like obviously we got to see Shikamaru, Ino, and Choji, and like Ino was like, wow, whoa, like looking good right now. It's kind of like her design was just like, whoa, the animators must really enjoy doing like post time skip Ino here. But we saw a little bit of Sai as well. He's the one who sent the message to Sasuke, and he's on the case now. So I suppose the last thing I want to talk about is the kind of Sasuke kind of end part of the episode. Just introducing him in a very kind of calm way is kind of different than almost like the entire rest of the show, that he's kind of more at peace. Just the fact that cats come up to him, he shares his food with them, more cats come up, further shares the food. Nice little connection there, just that he has some sort of a connection to cats, because he obviously has like that person who's like a friend of the family, Granny Cat, who he went to before, and that's obviously some sort of a relation to like ninja cats with him. Um, but yeah, then once he kind of jumps into battle, people are suspicious of him because he also uses visual jutsu, and they are aware that the exploding humans are caused by someone using visual jutsu, and so they kind of suspect him of being someone else. And we get a little bit of a fight with Chino and Nawaki, as I said, these new characters who are former shinobi, who are now part of an entertainment group, who obviously use their jutsu to add to performances, and they're kind of coming through here. They're resting in this current spot. I didn't get a ton on their characters right now, except the fact that Chino seemed to have a very good relationship with the village chiefs, or whatever his name is, the leader's daughter, and was very affected by her death. Nawaki I didn't get a ton on, other than the fact that one uses water jutsu, the other uses wind style jutsu, and they were both absolutely no match for Sasuke in the little fight that Sasuke didn't really try too hard in, just burst his fire through the girl's water, and then just easily dodged the wind attacks. And then I suppose straight away revealing that the Sharingan can break through whatever this new Genjutsu is was interesting, in that it means that, like, okay, these exploding humans aren't going to be like a super threat where we're not going to need to do Naruto's plan every single time we deal with them, where like we need to have Hinata there. Once we have someone with the Sharingan there who can do this, it actually can break through it fairly easily. But the new stuff that we got here was that Sasuke, I don't remember this being a Sharingan technique. Outside of, I think they've roughly done stuff with the Sharingan where it's like this, where you can sort of look into like someone's memories, kind of get a glimpse into them, that that's the kind of whole point of the eye, that it like analyzes things. But Sasuke seems to be able to go into someone's memory just by using the Sharingan here, and discovered basically the lead up to Chino and Iwaki arriving here, and then also discovered that this man who he's entering was affected by a genjutsu, and it's a really cool looking one as well, with the way that the pattern on the eye is just this kind of like bar of red in the middle. It's very different than like all of the other ones, because obviously Byakugan is just kind of pure white in the eyes, kind of a ghostly sort of look. The Sharingan obviously is very delicate, red and black patterns, but this one was just like one bar of red in the middle. It made it look very different and interesting to see what exactly it is, and clearly to some extent Sasuke is worried about the power of this technique if he ever encounters whoever did it. And then the final thing with the episode is the sort of backstory we get for why anyone would want revenge against this little village, and we get the explanation that this group, the Lightning Gang, are sort of Robin Hood type figures, in that they steal from rich people, give the money to poor people, like the people of this village. But there came a point where they were betrayed by the Mist Village, and one of their members was injured. Like, all of them seemed to get hurt, but one of them was particularly injured. They wanted the rest in this town they previously helped, and the village elder refused them. And it's like one of those moments where like you go from feeling really sorry for the village elder because his daughter was just killed and all this stuff is happening to his kind of town, to just feeling like, you did this yourself, like they helped you, why on earth would you not help them back? But obviously they sort of give reasons for why he wouldn't want to, but still it was a really kind of poor move on his behalf, and it's obviously caused a lot of revenge to begin once again. But now obviously they kind of go back and forth about like which member of the Lightning Gang is it? Is it actually a member of the Lightning Gang that's happening here, or what? So there's still a little bit of mystery at play, but fundamentally Sasuke seems to have found the rough area of the world where the kind of mystery is going to unfold. So straight away establishing that like he's going to be investigating here. We may or may not see him eventually return to the Leaf Village. I have a feeling it may just be a sort of thing where like when we get to the end of this arc, he will just kind of check in on the village and then leave again. Maybe there'll be a moment with Sakura or something like that, and then we'll move on. But Yeah, that's pretty much it for the episode. As I said, I don't really know how the rest of the arc is going to play out. In that, is it just going to be focused on Sasuke from here on out, or are we actually going to get more with Naruto, Sakura, Shikamaru, and so on back at the village? Will the paths ever intertwine, or are we just focused on Sasuke from here on out? That's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But yeah, we know that obviously we're getting this Sasuke stuff. I assume they're adapting both of Sasuke's novels, so that's going to be at least probably like 6, 7, 8 episodes based on the Itachi novels being adapted and how long they were. We know we're getting the Shikamaru novel adapted, which is just one novel, so that should only be like 4, maybe 5 episodes, if even that. And then we're also getting the Konoha Hiden novel animated, which is kind of like a setup for Naruto and Hinata's wedding. So it seems like what they're doing is they're kind of using these 3 books as a way to kind of um, build further towards Naruto and Hinata's kind of wedding as potentially like the big moment at the end of this like arc of light novel adaptations, which I'm actually all for, depending on how they go about doing that. But I do hope that just over the course of these episodes, adapting light novels, that they make it a little bit more clearer where we're set in the timeline compared to like the last movie and so on. But yeah, that has been my review for Naruto Shippuden episode 484. In the comments, let me know what your thoughts were on the episode. But for now, I'm just going to end by saying links in the description to my Twitter and Tumblr if you want to follow me on social media. And also links in the description to my Patreon campaign and my PayPal donation link if you want to help support my channel so I can make more videos, better videos. But yeah, that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.